Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to FM22. This is Journeyman. We're on episode 41. And when it comes to the national team and the qualifiers, we have one match remaining in that group stage to determine whether we qualify. Now, we've already qualified with one match to spare. And that last match, well, it's not this calendar year. It's next calendar year. And it's well into next calendar year. It is on the ending of March the 30th. So we have 4 months, as it's end of November now. We have 4 months before that match is going to be played. That highly irrelevant match for us at this stage. So that's a lot of time to pass to get that last match in. Meanwhile, on the club front, we're down to 6 matches to go now, having won our last 3 and drawn in the previous one before that, and then won the previous 3. So no losses in our last 7, and 6 wins from 7 means we are in really good shape here. We have 3 home, 3 away in these final 6 matches. We have PSM, who sit 8th. We have Persic, who sit 10th. We have Bayankara, who are 17th. We do have Arema on the road, away, 3rd place. That's going to be a difficult match. Then Persella, who are 5th. But then we finish up with PSMS, who are 18th on the road. So 4 out of 6 matches, though, relegation teams always play a little bit harder when they're desperate late in the season, trying to avoid that relegation. They will go more attacking than they would at other points in the season, where they might sit back and try to defend and settle for a point. However, 4 out of 6 matches look quite winnable, and then we should be able to get something out of those 2 matches, whether it's 1 point, whether it's 3 points, whether it's 4 points. You would suspect that we would get at least a point out of those 2 matches. Therefore, we're looking at 13 to 15 points the rest of the way. And looking at the table, well, that sets us up pretty well. Tira Persico and Arema, with Arema having a game in hand. The 3 points, if they were to claim those 3 points, right, that would put them equal. So looking at those two as our primary competitors. Everybody else is just about too far off. 18 teams in the league, so 17 opponents, so that's 34 matches, again, with 6 to play. So 6 to play. If we're going to get 14 points out of those, we're looking at about 78 points. If we're sitting on 78, what's it going to take for these others? They're going to have to be damn near perfect to overcome us. I mean, in reality, we're looking at dropping maybe 5 points. And look at our gap. 5 points. Our gap is essentially 5 points to the 2 trailers, and we're looking at maybe only dropping about 5 points the rest of the way. So they would have to win out to challenge. Now, goal differential, with that, you figure if they're winning out, yeah, they're going to just about do it. But that's what it's going to take. We still got to take care of business in the other 4 games, though. So let's get on with that program. We definitely have a few easier games ahead of us. Let's go ahead and get past those 3 and see where we're at. 2 matches in so far, 2 wins, combined scores 3-0, I believe. And this is a really important one. Both Tira Persico and Arema have dropped points already over those last 2 minutes. 2 matches, one of them with a draw, one of them with a loss. So 2 points, 3 points dropped, and then now they play each other. Chance to drop some more points. Meanwhile, also the other contenders, Persella, who are, I think, too far off the back now. They are 13 points behind with 4 to play, so that's 12 points available. So they are literally too far off the back. They are out of reach, but they play Bali United at the same time. And Arema keep themselves alive. So they are now 7 points adrift with exactly 4 matches to play. Tira Persico, meanwhile, with 3 matches to play, can only score 9 more points, and they are 8 points behind. Therefore, their chances are slim to none. Arema staying alive, though. I mean, they have an opportunity. Arema, we have to play. They take 3 points there. That definitely flips the script a little bit on closing that gap. But right now, things are looking pretty dang good. We've only had 2 losses this season. 7 draws, 21 wins in 30 played. On the road at Arema, 3 matches left to go in the season. They are now firmly in second place. Tira Persicobo is now out of the title race. It's between us and Arema, and it could be decided today. Here's how. With a 7-point lead over Arema. If they win, they cut that gap to 4. There's 2 matches left to play, and that would keep them within reach. But with a win, we'd be 10 points away with 2 to play. No way that that's enough. Also, with a draw, we remain 7 points ahead with only 2 left to play, which means at most you can flip it by 6 points. Therefore, a draw or a win today will clinch the title. Yes, here we are, folks, on the verge. And now that we've already guaranteed a top 2 as we lose out on what definitely should have been our header. We've already guaranteed the Asian Cup, which we competed in last season and got to the final before losing. We've already guaranteed that. But winning the league would guarantee Champions League for next season, which is pretty dang exciting for this club. I mean, this is punching way above our weight. Remember, just a few seasons ago, we were down in the second tier. Play that through ball. There it is. Jack Brown. Oh, wow. Big miss from Brown on that one. He really should have done better. Gotten a shot on target. We should be leading. It's halftime. Holy crap. That was our only chance of the half. That was the only chance of the half really for either, besides, that difficult angle outside the box with the defender on you. Easy save that Setho made that gave them slightly more XG than what we have at this stage. But I am all for a boring draw on this one, being that A, we're on the road, and B, it's enough to finish the job with a couple matches to spare. I'd be okay with that. Ratings, really bad for the team at this point, but that's okay. They're nervous. Let's see if we can... Yeah, let's go with you haven't taken enough shots. There you go. Everybody but Jack Brown, who remains nervous. We do have Eunice, obviously, available, and Eunice is composed and a team leader, while Jack Brown is an other player, so we might be going for an early second half substitution. This hopefully gets the team a little bit more focused for the second half, playing a bit better. A board draw is fine, but I'd rather be competitive and potentially winning than a bunch of nervous guys that, if the other team got focused at halftime, would be in real trouble. And we're already looking to be in a little bit of trouble as Quinones heads that one away. But they have started well here in the second half. It's Taiwan, who we see at the national team, that was offside, but no flag raised. Out for a corner. Whew. He tried to recover from going offside early, but never did recover in onside position, and went too early the second time. He was already moving before that ball was played. Oh, okay. I was like, why are they taking another corner kick? But it's a new highlight just a handful of minutes later, which means they have been all over us here so far in the second half. Attempted through ball, much too long. There's no way you were going to get to that one. And that was pretty easy for the keeper. That long ball, not long enough. So we go too long, and then we don't go long enough, and we find ourselves in a little trouble. But Dimas, with pressure, helping recover the ball. Forcing a bad pass, but Wallien! Oh, he gets through. He had a real chance on that one. It's just our second shot of the entire match. Wallien over the top for Brown. Not well placed. Good recovery of the ball there. And that through ball is way out of sorts. Okay, Brown, let's go ahead and make that sub. Let's make that sub. Eunice is coming on. Dangerous position. Milana, that poacher. Luckily, he doesn't do much with that ball, because that was definitely onside and we could have been in trouble. Milana, good play on that one. Ooh, that was offside. Jeez, the guy's standing on the line when he recovers that deflected ball from the keeper. And the shot, not certain, but the shot certainly looked like he was already in a position where he was well offside. Okay, it's been mostly them here, and we've got like just over 20 minutes left. Let's start playing this for the point. Yama, gosh, they are so stacked. Yama, Milana, Sataiwan. A lot of strong national team players. Let's take a deeper look at that one. Sitangang hasn't been playing, but he's been, I think we pulled him off the bench once with the national team. And then, of course, Yama is one of our starting center backs. Verminsaya. Yeah, there's 4 key and a partial national team player. Virtually half their guys on the roster are national team. Of course, so are mine, but they're getting a lot more minutes than, I'd say, my guys are. But that's not a huge surprise when you're in a nation of almost all. That's onside. That was good. That was a well-timed run. And so Taiwan goes close. Big save from Setho. Sofiani heads that away, and now time is ticking down. We need to change how we are going to approach this one. Not heavy time wasting yet, but let's drop that line down a little bit. Let's drop a little bit lower. I don't think we need to go wider. That they are beating us on the outside, but only a little. It's more up the middle that's been a thing. No yellow cards, so go ahead and get stuck in. We'll start with those changes for the next few minutes. Just 3 shots all game, but they still don't even have 1 XG. Londono, free kick. That could have sealed the season. It does not. We had it over. I'm not sure who got on the end of that one, but it was definitely not good enough. Okay, 80 minutes. Time to look at some sort of wholesale change, like Walian is going to be more tired, I'm assuming, than Eunice, who just came on and is fresh. Yes, that is the case. Go ahead and swap. Eunice, you're normally the attacking forward anyway. Play into the middle, and let's get Walian into a defensive role here to help give us a little bit of an extra defensive anchor. We have Saputro, we have Sagang available, we have Cristanto, but do we have anybody in the middle of the pitch that can? Yes, we do. Zulfiandi can come on. So Saputro is going to sub Walian, and then we're going to swap him and Zulfiandi, and we are going to get defensive here to try to salvage a point in this game and complete the job. Okay, instructions, time wasting. This is our free kick, Saputro. Boy, that wasn't very close. That was all the way out here. Mandono in possession now, possessing well. Eunice over the top. He's not going to have that extra support that we normally have, but he does have the midfield coming in to support. Saputro gets the chance on that one, and that actually looked pretty dang good. Okay, instructions. Time wasting is high, so that's good. In transition, you know what? We do not need to counter anymore. We still want to counter press, but goalkeeper, slow the pace down. And we're into stoppage time, 2 minutes away, but we throw it away. Kabula recovers nicely there, and Eunice possessing. His hold-up play has been good here since we've made this change, but that ball was not a good choice. It was under pressure, but Quinones, good positioning to recover, but they're going to get a chance, and Setho makes a huge stop for us with just over a minute to go in wrapping this season up a little bit early. I like the idea of eliminating some of the pressure. Landono draws the foul from Verminsaya. Verminsaya has been our key national team player. Kabula wasting that time. Down to 30 seconds now before that final whistle should be coming. Dimas through. Not a great ball, but that's the ball you would play because you're trying to kill time. Nestaluhu, nice attacking on the ball there. Eunice, that's onside. He was level with his man. And there it is, final whistle. We have done it. There is the title with 2 games to spare. And we finally have some silverware. We finally have some proper silverware, as we've had essentially second place 3 times. Podiums, where we've been in kind of a 3rd or 4th place scenario a couple times. And finally, we have turned the team into winners. Huge achievement for the team. Now, what will that do for me as manager, for our profile? It's bound to help. Defense had a really big day on this one. Quinones with a 7.9 should be player of the match, I would think. No yellow cards for us, where they picked up 4 in the second half. Desperation time as they were down to that last half an hour, but we actually got more chances in that last half hour than we had throughout the whole rest of the game combined, which, okay, it's only a third of the game. I mean, it's not like a huge portion, but we did get a lot of our XG in that last half an hour, and that is clearly going to be down to them getting into desperation mode and that stretching the field a bit, opening things up for us as we got more defensive and were able to hit them on the counter a bit. But their XG only ever hit 1. So we had a couple nice stops from Setho, hence the 7.4 rating, where he stepped up and made a good stop about 3 times. Definitely not enough to make him player of the game, though. It was the defense keeping them at bay when they were attacking us throughout the entirety of that game. Quiet first half. Again, we only had that couple highlights and straight into that second half. But I'm glad the halftime talk worked and calmed them down and got them focused, because clearly the halftime talk for Rema really got them going as well. And after that nervous energy kind of petered out first half, that second half was pretty exciting, but we finished with the draw, and that's enough to win the title. Instant bump in fame here, presumably, as I have been inducted into the Indonesia Hall of Fame with that title. Just like that, we go right up to 7th all time, even though it's only 1 title. Now, of course, looking at the records, I would not be surprised at all if these records were semi-barren. I mean, you're looking at the top guy here. Thiago had 4 domestic titles. 2 domestic titles is the only other one with more than 1, and that's Darmawan. I think Darmawan claimed the title like last season or something along those lines. So it's not like we're comparing 100 years of history to be there, or like England loves to do. They like to just go off the Premier League era so that they could have a smaller sample size to compare things to instead of historically, and different eras where things get complicated. People always say you can't compare to that era because it's different, things were different. You can still make comparisons. You have to take it with a grain of salt, but you can always compare. You can still compare Babe Ruth to Hank Aaron to Ken Griffey Jr. All-time greats in baseball, by the way, if you don't know. It can be done. You can compare Pele with Messi, with Ronaldo. It can be done. It's different eras. It's not going to be a 1-for-1. But even apples and oranges can be compared. Anyway, moving on. You can see the recent history of winners. Pretty much usual suspects around the board here. Bali United in 2019, title vacated in 2020 thanks to COVID. PSIS, Tira Persikabo had won 2 in a row before Arema took the title last season, and we've taken that from them this year. And of course, we were a team that in years past had won this league. I'm trying to remember how long ago was that. I suppose we'll have. There you go. It is 2012 and 2013 that this club had won the title. You can see how they had their rise. They were lower level League One. They had been relegated, and then they bounced back with a League Two title in 2010, instantly jumping to fourth place that next season, and then turning that into title-winning back-to-back title-winning seasons the following couple of years before beginning their slide. Their slide that eventually led to yo-yo for a couple of years, and this is where we took over management of the club in 2021. That relegation taking place back in 2019, so you can see how impactful that would have been, how different the roster would have been, being that it was 2 years later and that 2020 was vacated in the way it was. But you can see the rise since we have been back in charge, where we did, well, realistically, something similar to what the real life club did in the years following. We very quickly rebounded from promotion, well, from getting relegated. Took 2 years there. We did it in one, without the title though, but we did have the regular season. We finished first in the group. We just took second by losing the promotion playoff, but it was still enough to be promoted. But we get that instant climb up, and instead of yo-yoing like they had done previously, where they clearly weren't in the position they had been this time around, we do the same thing. We go from promotion to fourth, and we mimicked that. We got second the next year, almost like what they did, but then we get third, and now we've got the title. So it took us both longer and less long. It's similar to the run they made a decade and a half ago, but at the same time, looking at the evidence of here, clearly it's a team that was too good for League Two, but relegation in 2 out of 3 years, struggling the year prior to that as well, the decline was very evident. This was not a team who just had one off year and that we rebounded from. This was a team that was very much in decline over the previous half decade. And we were able to not only get back, but get back into league winning ways. Same day, and yes, we do have instantaneous impact to our profile. My reputation has risen from 25 to 30%. I can get that it's not going to rise much more than that. What did we just win? Indonesia? Oh, wow. What an impressive league to have won. I get why the rise has not been meteoric. I understand that it's been microscopic. It's taken a while, especially when officially that's our first title. We've been very close with a team that didn't necessarily belong at the top, but we have built a reputation. It just took a bit of time and effort. Meanwhile, the attributes are still pretty dang weak. Remember, we started from literally very bare minimum, and it climbs, but it climbs rather slowly. With the pressure off, we clearly didn't give our all here in the final 2 matches, but Purcell, 4th place. I mean, it's a good team, but a loss at home is definitely disappointing. They did lose 1-0, even though we actually outplayed them. They scored early on, and we just never could get anything going. But against PSMS, on the road, a penalty is all we gave up on this one. Zulfiandi seals it in stoppage time, but otherwise it was a fairly comfortable. But again, you could see how we kind of left it to late. We totally dominated the game, but it was 1-1 until the final 20 minutes. That's definitely leaving it late. You see how well the team played with 7.0 rating outside of Hangara for everybody. And, Hangara getting the start, Guino getting the start. You can see Sinji. We went down the depth chart a little bit in this one. Hamdi getting in. But with that, the league is now complete, and in the end, we win the league by 6 points with 77. Not an amazing total, but certainly a good total. 23 wins, 8 draws, just 3 losses. A plus 39 goal differential is fairly comfortable, but to some extent, it's a little surprising how competitive the Indonesian league is, and that it's not like what you see in, say, Europe, where so many of the leagues have, and there's a reason for this one, and I'll get to that in a second, but so many teams in the leagues are, or so many leagues are dominated by one or two teams that are leaps and bounds beyond the other teams in their leagues. And the only real exception to that is the Big Five leagues, and even then, no, not really. You look at La Liga, it's dominated by 3 teams. You look at League One, or Liga, how do they even say that? PSG, totally dominating, except for when they stumble, allowing somebody to get in. But if they don't stumble, they completely dominate. And wouldn't with that sort of roster. So in reality, you really only have 3 leagues that are pretty competitive at the top. And oh, wait, no, Juventus dominates outside of a couple teams that occasionally challenge them. Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund dominate, but occasionally get challenged. And in reality, the same can be said in England to an extent. It's just a much wider range of teams. Leicester City, the only ones who have truly upset the apple cart in many, many seasons, many years. Now, that being said, the reason behind all of that is the money involved in making European competition, in particular the Champions League. The money that's there sets those clubs apart, so it makes it natural that you do have leagues that are totally dominated by a top team. I think the difference here is that the money involved obviously makes a difference, makes an impact, but it's not the same. In Asia, we just do not have a massive payout for getting to the Asian competitions. It makes a difference. It's going to take us from a negative balance to a positive balance next season, or it's going to take the club to a positive balance next season, but it's not the kind of money that they get in Europe. And I think that's the difference. That's why you have teams that are clearly a step above your Aremas, your now Semen Padangs, your Tira Persicabos, Persella beating us on that final day, cemented their position. I think Tira Persicabo lost again. There was a 1-point difference, but Persella, that was not the last day, the next to last day of the season. But that was key. Got him up into third. But I think that's a key difference. Yes, we have top teams in Indonesia that are better than others, but no, it's not a total domination situation where their only losses are against the 2 or 3 other teams competing to win the league and then just dominating everybody else and beating them by 4, 5, 6 goals every time, and then they only compete kind of with each other for that next tier. There's not that level of dominance in these leagues, and I think that comes down to the money. Money helps those top teams and helps them stay on top, but there's just not as much money in playing in Indonesia as there is as playing in, say, Austria. Speaking of playing, and there's just not as much happening, there's not as much happening in this series as I expected there to be. As a journeyman, I did not expect to spend this many seasons with just one team. Taking a look at my career stats, I've been with this team for 1,800 days now. It's been quite a few seasons. That was not the plan. That was absolutely not the plan. But it's what happened. Now, adding another 5% to my reputation and realistically bringing it up from 20 to 30% just this year has had an impact, or just over the last year, calendar year. That's definitely had an impact, and it would make the likelihood of me finding a job elsewhere better than before, but it still doesn't mean that it's likely. I could still struggle for another year or 2 years to find the job that I'm looking for. Now, playing in the Champions League would be exciting, but, we've been with this team for a while. Also, if you haven't figured this out by now, producing these episodes, making this content for the channel, Football Manager takes a lot longer than most of the series that I do. Much, much longer. I spend a lot of time off camera continually working through the game, through the series to get it to that next point. So I'm going to go ahead and call this a series. I'm going to call this a job done. Not happily done, but we won the league. We've had a successful career. This manager would likely just stay put in Indonesia and keep doing his thing and become, a citizen of Indonesia and a local folk hero and be successful on that stage, or maybe somebody will come along eventually and prize him away and get him elsewhere. But we've done well with this. In the 68 matches that I have directly managed, we have 38 wins, 15 draws, 15 losses. It's been hit and miss, but realistically we've done well, and I love that we at least got something out of this series, and that we were named the Indonesia manager, and that one has gone pretty dang well. In just 9 matches, 7 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss, and that was our very first match, and we nearly pulled off the upset draw on that one, which later on, that second time around, we did get that surprising victory. So huge result on that. Really good job, I think, overall in what this could have been. Disappointing that we never got to do the journeyman side to this save, but it's okay. I am going to continue on with Youth Factory in the short term, because that one, unlike this one, has so much more to accomplish and has made the steps towards that progression. So I will continue on with that journey a little bit longer. Meanwhile, this one, wrapping it up. If you have not figured this out by now, there were so many game releases that were due in 2020 or 2021 that were tabled, not permanently, but their progress was slowed thanks to COVID, thanks to lockdown situations, thanks to personnel issues, logistical issues, whatever. And we are finally hitting that point where so many titles are set to release here quite soon. And our summer window is opening a little bit early this year. There's a lot of releases coming up that have either just happened or are coming quite soon. So I'm excited. A lot of things are coming to the channel. That's going to do it for this one, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Thanks for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. And bye for now.